Samuel Johnson, the man who gave us the first modern dictionary, famously said in 1777, when a man is tired of London, he is tired of life. Wow. Nearly 250 years later, I think most of us can agree with that. We work and live in one of the most dynamic, exciting, diverse, and expensive cities in the world. Just a few miles from here, over in the city and the West End, it forms one of the global financial powerhouses. And yet, this world of business is deeply polarizing. On the one hand, it's often viewed with suspicion. Over the last couple of decades, if you pick up the papers, we see headlines about casino capitalism, fat cats, rate rigging, and corporate greed. Boris Johnson, in words I shall wisely choose not to repeat, told us all where he thought business could go. And on the other hand, we're a culture that champions the so-called self-made man, the boy or girl wonder that achieves success against all the odds. We are bombarded, if you pick up Instagram, with the 5 a.m. club and hustle culture. We see the shows of success, the ostentatious displays of wealth. We celebrate go-getters and those on the make. And if it's polarized in the secular world, we can have our own extremes in the Christian world as well. On the one hand, there's the false teaching that turns God's blessings into a prosperity gospel. And at the other extreme, there's the claim that work is a necessity only to fund the needs of gospel teaching or the church. We assume that our Christian thoughts should be far removed from the boardroom, the startup garage, or the WeWork office. So what are we to do? Should we retreat into holy huddles, declaring the marketplace too messy for God's chosen people? Or should we baptize the status quo, giving a thin Christian varnish to business as usual, contenting ourselves with being the nice guys in the office, quietly keeping our heads down while the engine of commerce runs as it always has? Is that the biblical vision? No. The gospel calls us to something far bigger and far riskier. It calls us to imagine what the marketplace might look like if Christ were Lord, not only of our Sundays, but also of our spreadsheets, our strategies, and our startups. It calls us to reimagine the very purpose of profit and power and productivity in light of God's kingdom. Aaron asked me to speak on faith and entrepreneurship, and I come at this from the angle, as he said, of being a business owner and an entrepreneur. But my hope today is that whether you run or work in a business or want to start one or simply support someone that does, that this message will have something for everyone. So take my use of entrepreneur and business leader somewhat interchangeably. So in light of that, let's start in Genesis 1. From the very beginning, we see a God who is a creative entrepreneur. He brings order out of chaos. He creates a world of beauty and utility, and then entrusts humanity. He entrusts us with a commission in Genesis 1, verse 28, to be fruitful and multiply, and to fill the earth and subdue it. The command to subdue the earth is the first entrepreneurial mandate. It's a call to innovate, to gather and develop resources, and to cultivate a world that flourishes for God's glory and for the good of all people. Our work, in its essence, is a continuation of God's creative work. Our work, in its essence, is a continuation of God's creative work. And I think if we can grasp this foundational truth, it can help reorient our perspective. Our business is neither a necessary evil nor a secular activity we engage to fund real spiritual life. Instead, it's a primary avenue through which we live out our calling as image bearers of God. Whatever your work, it has the potential to be a powerful act of worship and a tool for building God's kingdom. So the Christian view of business cannot be one of suspicion or detachment. It's one of integration. The Christian life is one of integration. Our faith is not just for Sundays, it's for the Monday to Friday as well. And given that we spend far more time at work, it's vital we understand this. Look, I love starting businesses. I love seeking new opportunities. I love chasing the deal. I love the thrill of closing a deal. I love thinking of the impact we can have as we build our business. I enjoy starting and building things. And 13 years ago when we started Dartmouth Partners, I was dreaming of success, whatever that might be. We've had a little blood, a lot of sweat, and many tears along the way that's taken us through 2 private equity transactions and most recently a valuation of just over £100 million. And I've enjoyed nearly all of it. If Eric Liddell can say, God made me fast, and when I run, I feel his pleasure, for those like me who are drawn to business and enterprise, can we say, God made me commercial, and when I work, I feel his pleasure? Our work is a primary way we live out our calling as image bearers of God. Okay, so now we've understood how business work and fits into God's plan for us. Let's move on to some of the specific opportunities and responsibilities we have. There are 3 things here that I want to cover today. First, the unique opportunity of being in business. It's a well-known parable, the parable of the talents in Matthew 25, and it's really helpful in regards to this. A master entrusts 3 servants with different amounts of money or talents. The first 2 servants take their talents and invest them, doubling their value. But the third servant, out of fear, buries his talent in the ground. And the master's response is telling. To the first 2, he says, "Well done, good and faithful servants. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." But to the third, he chillingly says, "You wicked, lazy servants," and he takes the talents away. This parable isn't just about money. It's about our stewardship of the gifts, resources, and opportunities God has given us. Entrepreneurship at its best is an act of responsible stewardship. It's taking the talents we have, the skills, our ideas, our capital, our energy, and using them to create value, to serve others, to multiply the resources God has entrusted to us. Christian entrepreneurs are called to be risk takers, not out of greed, but out of faith. And they're called to do it all with a heart of faithfulness, knowing that one day we will give an account to the master for how they managed his resources. So I wonder what this might look like in practice. Maybe we think there are good businesses on the one hand, and there are bad businesses, ones that Christians maybe should steer clear of. Of course, a business that provides clean water, or a service that educates people, or a product that brings joy, all of these can be expressions of God's creative grace working through his people. But we aren't just limited to what we might view as good businesses. As Aaron mentioned, I work in recruitment, which is one of the most unloved industries that exist. And recently, my son came home from school and maybe slightly accusingly said that he'd heard I work in recruitment, and maybe that's a bit like a estate agency. And who likes estate agents? Very early disappointment for a 14-year-old boy. And yet, I hope I make him proud, not because of the success we've had, but because we've tried to build something distinctive and different to the majority of the industry, something that is salt and light. For me, the opportunity is to build a redemptive culture. And as a leader, you have the unique opportunity to build a culture that reflects the values of the kingdom of God. The prophet Micah says, "What does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God." A Christian-led business is a place where these principles can and should be lived out daily, becoming a powerful witness to a watching world. And I wonder, what do you think that looks like in practice? Do you have a culture of honor where people are treated with dignity and respect? Is there a culture of justice where wages are fair and dealings are honest? Are we displaying generosity where success is shared and people are cared for? Paul reminds us in Romans 12, don't copy the behavior and customs of this world. Now, I wonder if you feel it's getting harder to be distinctive in this regard. Nowadays, every business has corporate values that sound vaguely familiar, variations of trust, integrity, honesty, diversity, partnership. But when we peel back the corporate veneer, we quickly see that behaviors are very different to what's written. At the heart of that is that businesses are populated by fallen people. So why should we expect anything else? So let me share how we've tried to embed some of these principles and behaviors into our business not always successfully. I say very openly in every interview I do that I'm a Christian, and you'll never hear me swear at anyone. I'll never raise my voice. Aaron and I, as you mentioned, met during our round table, which for someone to come away and say, I think that guy must be a Christian, is one of the nicest things you can hear about yourself. But I talked about trying to build a culture of grace where we encourage people to take big risks, and it will go wrong, so we need to forgive them. We're not always successful in this. My wider team is largely non-Christian, but I'm clearly responsible for setting the tone from the top. And my fundamental belief is that building a distinct redemptive culture, one that seeks to reflect God's good and perfect creative order, is also one that has a better commercial impact as well. Okay, so we've looked at the opportunities for the Christian entrepreneur. Now I need to say something about the unique responsibilities of the leader. The unique responsibilities of the business leader. Whilst the business person has a unique opportunity, with this comes a unique and weighty responsibility. The power to create and lead is also the power to harm and exploit. The power to give is as strong as the power to take away. Firstly, the responsibility of personal integrity. I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm constantly facing temptation. And in the marketplace, temptation is ever present. Cutting corners, stretching the truth, compromising on quality can seem like quick paths to success. But the Bible is clear. God values integrity above all else. Proverbs 11:3 states, the integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. A Christian in business is called to be a person of their word, to be scrupulously honest in their dealings with customers, suppliers, and competitors. This is not just a matter of ethics, it's a matter of our witness. Whatever your involvement in business, how about you? Is the guiding principle of your business dealings integrity, honesty, and fairness? Second, the responsibility of care for employees. A business leader is not just a manager of tasks, we're a shepherd of people. James 5:4 gives a stark warning. Look, the wages you failed to pay the workers who mowed your fields are crying out against you. The cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord Almighty. As a business owner, you have a sacred trust to care for your employees. They're not just cogs in a machine, but fellow image bearers of God, and their flourishing should be a central concern of your business. Can I say from personal experience, this is such a difficult one to get right. One of our key values in our business is kindness, and another is excellence. And over the years, we've ebbed and flowed over which one should come first. And sometimes the fact that kindness is a value, it's been used as a stick to beat us with. You give someone negative feedback, that's not very kind. Picking people up on questionable behavior that you might not like, how's that kind? Maybe refusing someone a pay rise. Well, I thought kindness was a value. My team and I have found it frustrating, exasperating at points. And as a Christian CEO, I've sought to find a way that balances my desire to be a good witness, to be fair and generous, with needing to deliver on my responsibilities to the business, to external shareholders, and to investors. It's required nuance and thought and deliberation. And sometimes we clearly get things wrong and we need to say sorry. And I think we have to accept that sometimes we're going to disagree and disappoint people as well, but you're still doing what you feel is overall the right thing to do. Third, the responsibility of stewardship. We saw earlier, and we declared earlier, everything we have is a gift from God. Our businesses are not truly ours, they are entrusted resources to us. We are stewards, not owners. This perspective changes everything. It means our decisions should be guided not by our own selfish desires, but by what is best for the kingdom. It means we're accountable to God for how we manage our time, our money, and our influence. I wonder how we might be able to support entrepreneurs or those in business. Part of our duty here is to hold them in prayer. Maybe you could be boldly reminding them of their calling, and maybe you could encourage them to be faithful stewards of the gifts and opportunities that they've been given. Okay, so the unique opportunities, the unique responsibilities, before we wrap up, we need to talk about the unique dangers lying in wait for the entrepreneur. The unique dangers for the entrepreneur. At the heart of this is identity and idolatry. I often say that the business is my fourth child. Other three are sitting just over there. Go and say hello to them. But they all know that very sadly I've spent more time raising my fourth child than I have raising these three. The danger of idolatry, the pursuit of success, the thrill of building something from nothing, and the lure of wealth can easily become idols. We can start out with the right motives, but slowly our focus shifts. The business becomes the center of our lives, our source of identity, our hope for the future. One of the many warnings Jesus gives about the deceitfulness of wealth is in Matthew 6:24. No one can serve two masters. Either you'll hate the one and love the other, or you'll be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. You cannot serve both God and money. We must be vigilant. Check your heart. Remind yourself that your true master is not business, but Jesus Christ. Trust me, I can attest that the goalposts do move. The psychology, it's so powerful, isn't it? If only I can get to this point, and then I'll give more, or then I'll be happy with what I've achieved. We make these little deals with God. Bless me in this way, and then I'll be content. Look, from experience, by the sounds of it, from lots of people's experience, I could tell you that there's always another mountain to climb, always a new office to open, a new area to launch in our personal lives, a new house to buy or renovate. Pop stars such as Robbie Williams or the sportsman Johnny Wilkinson, who kicked the goal that won England the Rugby World Cup in 2003, talk about how reaching their goals leads to a huge sense of anticlimax. And in Wilkinson's words, his world came tumbling down just minutes after that kick. Reaching a milestone doesn't lead to lasting contentment. Remember why we build cathedrals? Yes, because they're beautiful, but primarily because of who they point to. Second, the danger of busyness and burnout. Entrepreneurship and business is demanding. The hours are long, the stress is high, there's always more to do. You'll find, maybe as you've been listening to this, that your mind drifts back to work matters almost constantly. This can lead to a neglect of the very things that sustain our faith: prayer, fellowship, and rest. We live in a city where everyone seems constantly hurried and stressed. For the majority of us, idleness isn't our sin, it's being too busy. The new mantra, I don't know if you've come across this in the startup world, is the call of the 996, working 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. I don't know if you've come across that, the view that it takes total commitment to be disruptive. We can become so consumed with building our earthly kingdom that we neglect our spiritual life. But remember Jesus' words in Mark 8:36. I used to walk past this, I don't know if it's still there, but there's a church in Oval that I used to walk on the way to work every single day. For what shall it profit a man to gain the whole world yet lose his own soul? A powerful reminder that earthly success is temporary. So look, carve out time for God and for your families. True success is not just about the bottom line, but about faithfulness in every area of our lives. The Sabbath, or at least intentional rest, is a vital discipline for all of us. Again, this is something I've struggled with. In the early years, it's fair to say I made all the mistakes, and I won't mention them here, but 3 minutes with Abby, and she's quite loyal, but she'll happily dive in. But take a step back and intentionally build your day-to-day habits around what's important to you. That's vital. As an example, as I said, I've often got this wrong, but two of the ones that I'm trying to do this year, I'm typically very bad once my day gets going, so before I check my emails as I wake up, I make sure that I do my stretch. I'm of a certain age where that's necessary, and then I do my quiet time and read my Bible. That may not work well for you, but be intentional about how you structure your 24 hours. Manage your diary rather than letting events or your business manage you. And finally, there's a danger of identity. After being asked your name, being asked what you do is one of the first questions we ask. And for the entrepreneur, your identity can so easily be tied up with business. When it's going well, we can feel top of the world. And a timely reminder comes in Romans 12:3. Do not think too highly of yourself. And if it's not going well, we can feel both a crushing burden and a sense of shame. Friends, family, let's remember that any success or failure in this life is both God-given and fleeting. In our world, the self-made man or woman doesn't really exist. All of it is a blessing from the giver of life himself, our Lord Jesus. If your business is successful, what are we to do with this profit? Again, the temptation to say, I made this and I deserve it and it's mine, it belongs to me, it's mine, is strong. The purpose of profit for the Christian is to be a resource for good. As 2 Corinthians 9 verse 8 says, and God is able to bless you abundantly so that in all things at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. A successful business can be a powerful engine for generosity. It can fund the local church, can support missions, and provide for those in need. For the aspiring entrepreneur, this is a profound motivation, not just to build a successful company, but to build a successful company that serves as a conduit of God's grace and generosity to the world. I didn't want to end this on a down note talking about dangers and warnings. I'm an entrepreneur. We have to be natural optimists. We're glass half full rather than glass half empty people. So as we wrap up, what does this mean for us today? That whatever your business dealings, whether you're running a home, selling a car, working out the best deal, running a small family business or running a tech titan, I want to encourage us all that your work is a sacred calling. It's a vital and powerful way to serve God and to be a blessing to the world. The Christian life is not a compartmentalized life. It's a holistic, integrated life where our faith permeates every area, including our professional lives. You have it in your creed. You're not just a business person who happens to be a Christian. You're a Christian called to do business for the glory of God. Do not grow weary in doing good. Remember that your ultimate reward is not a balance sheet, but the words that we're seeking are well done, good and faithful servant. If you're here today thinking about starting a business, I said nothing could be more thrilling when it's going well. I pray that you'll do so with a heart for God's kingdom. Seek wisdom, pray for guidance, and commit to being a faithful steward of the talents he's given you. And for all of us, let's be a church that supports and encourages those involved in business dealings. Let's pray for them. Let's see their actions not as just part of the economy, but as a crucial part of God's mission in the world. And as we finish our dinner tonight and our thoughts turn towards work tomorrow, let's remember the work we do tomorrow is a continuation of God's creative work. And one day, we'll be held accountable for it. May that shape our attitudes and actions as we head into work tomorrow. May that guide us as we think about our responsibilities and opportunities. And may one day we hear the words, well done, good and faithful servant. Amen.
Thank you for listening to the message today. We hope it blessed you. And if it did, please like, comment and subscribe for more videos from Micah. And don't forget to click the notification bell to see when they're uploaded. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you in the next one.